I love Angels of Death. This is one of my top guilty pleasure things that I love. I've watched this so many times and I still can't really pinpoint why I love it so much. I watched this during a time where I just wanted to watch something random and I kept seeing this as I searched Hulu, and so one day I just decided to watch it. I thought it would just be some dumb show to kill time, but by the end I loved it. On the surface it looks like a dark, cringy, edgy show, but it's a little more lighthearted than that. The quick synopsis is that there's a suicidal girl named Rachel who wakes up in a weird facility that tries to figure out if she's a sacrifice or an angel. The facility has 5 floors, and each floor has an angel, or just a person, that she has to get past. I wish I had the time and skills to go through every single episode and give the plot summary so everyone who watches this video is on the same page, but anyone watching this video and hasn't seen the show, 1, not sure why you're here, but hello, and 2, hopefully the stuff I talk about is interesting enough for you to go watch it. From what I've seen, this show isn't super popular, and it's not really liked by a lot of people. Maybe it's because negativity rises to the top more often, or people just don't like it that much in general. I don't know. All I know is that I really like the show, and I wanted to make a video explaining why. First, an interesting thing I didn't know when I watched it the first time is that it was originally a indie video game made by Makoto Sanada. Then he made a manga adaptation, then JC Staff made it into an anime. The game was apparently really popular in Japan, getting 1 million downloads with high review scores. I've never played it, I've never really seen it, but it seems like a game I wouldn't really like, but more power to whoever liked it. I'm going to give a little more in-depth plot just to set up some stuff for later. The basic plot of the show is that there is a girl named Rachel Gardner who is in a facility that is trying to figure out if she's an angel or a sacrifice. She doesn't know why she's there because she's got some amnesia. There are 5 floors she has to get past to leave the facility, and on each floor there's an angel that has their floors customized to their liking. Zack is the first person she meets on the first floor, and he's a serial killer. Rachel escapes him and gets to the 2nd floor, but Zack breaks the rules and follows her to the 2nd floor. And on that floor, Rachel's doctor that was treating her, Dr. Danny, gets her to remember why she is in the facility, and her eyes turn lifeless. Zack kills Danny, and as he's about to kill Rachel, he notices she isn't showing any emotion, so he gets bored and leaves her. Zack decides he wants to leave the facility, but he's too dumb to figure out stuff on his own. Rachel finds Zack and asks him to kill her, but Zack says he can't kill someone with a boring looking face. They make a promise to each other that if Rachel helps Zack leave the facility, then he will kill her. That's the basic plot of the show. That's basically just episode 1. This might be a weird section, but the show kind of has no plot holes. By that I mean major plot holes, not nitpicks. Almost every question you have, the show has an answer for it. I can roll through a few obvious ones that whoever might be watching might have. Number 1, why doesn't Rachel just kill herself? Rachel really believes in God and doesn't want to disappoint him by killing herself. Number 2, why doesn't Rachel just let the other angels kill her? When Rachel first made the promise to Zack, I forgot to mention that she made him swear to God that he would do it. Rachel sees that as making a promise to God that she doesn't want to break, so nobody can kill her other than Zack. Number 3, why doesn't Zack just kill her? I already kind of answered this. Zack wants to leave the facility, but he's too dumb to figure out the puzzles, so he needs Rachel to guide him out. And one more question, why does Rachel want to die? Just watch the show to find out. Alright, let me talk about my favorite character, Zack. When I first saw this character, I assumed he'd just be an edgy, depressing dude. To an extent, he's kind of like that, but he's not as doom and gloom as I thought he'd be. He's more like the comic relief of the show. Zack's backstory is that he was an orphan in a really bad foster home where he eventually killed the foster parent because they were pretty bad people. They made him bury other foster kids that died in the home, which is pretty over the top in a they're so bad it's kind of goofy kind of way. It feels like the author was like, how can I make him killing the foster parents justifiable? Let's make him bury other foster kids that died on our watch when he could have just been like, just went the abuse route. But anyway, Zack kills his foster parents and basically becomes a serial killer. It's a little more nuanced. He only kills people that are happy, which I think is fine, since it at least gives him a reason to not just kill Rachel. He has his own values that he won't cross, which most well-written characters have. Now, the main reason I love his character is that he's a man of his word. It's established at the beginning of the story that he hates liars. It's one of the most horrible things he can do in his eyes. To add to the promise he made to Rachel, the author sneakily sets up that if he doesn't keep his promise, that would make him a liar. There's a episode later where Zack takes a drug that makes him go berserk, and he tries to kill Rachel, but before he goes berserk, he tells her to run because if he kills her, then it would make him a liar. I love this plot device of him not liking liars because it gives Zack another layer to his character, and it pays off very well in the story. Now let me talk about the music real quick. I didn't know this until I made this video, but the person who made the opening song of the show is Misaki Endo, who is a part of the band that made the iconic One Punch Man opening song. I thought this was interesting because I did not expect the person that made that song to also make the opening for this show. It feels random, but it's cool. Two of the songs that I really love from the soundtrack is Gray's organ theme. And Rachel's theme. If I ever learn how to play the piano, I am absolutely gonna try and learn that song. These are my favorite from the soundtrack. With that being said, the whole soundtrack is top tier. I have a fun little thing I want to add that I appreciate. Each episode title is the last line said in each episode. I'm sure other shows have done this before, but I like it when things have an extra thought put into them. Even though it's a small thing to add, I appreciate it. Alright, time for the main reason I made this video. The ending. It's weird to say, but I think the show has one of my top 5 endings, maybe of all time. Now that is super high praise, but the ending carries the entire show for me. If the ending was any different, then I probably wouldn't like the show as much. Maybe I'm an idiot and I'm dumb for liking this ending this much, but let me at least give you my reasonings. So, the promise made at the beginning of the show is the main crux of the ending. When they escape the facility, Zack has to kill Rachel. Now, throughout the story, the show keeps reinforcing the promise they made over and over again. Even Zack, after a while, gets annoyed that Rachel keeps bringing it up. At the same time, you, the viewer, are watching these characters for 12 episodes. I don't think I mentioned that there's a total of 5 characters in this show. So by the time the show is ending, you're invested with Rachel and Zack. And since you're with them the whole time, halfway through the show you start to get this weird feeling. I can't really describe the feeling unless you watch it. Once you're halfway through, you start to say to yourself, you're not actually gonna kill her, right? Like, it starts to hit you that Rachel, at the end, might die, but you don't really want her to. You're thinking there's no way Zack will do it. They're basically friends, like halfway through. You hold this feeling until you finally get to the end of the show, and the payoff is so good. Before I reveal it, I want you to choose how you think it ends. Assuming you haven't seen the show and are watching this video for some reason. Does it end with A, Zack kills Rachel and keeps his promise, or B, Zack doesn't kill Rachel and they both live? There's two obvious options. The whole show is basically, will he kill her at the end or will he not?
Zack.
Now, this shocked me when I first saw this. My jaw dropped to the floor and I thought there was no way it ends like this. Then we get this incredible scene.
約束は叶わなくてもいいんだよ。When I first saw the scene, I lost my mind. The guy that shoots her is Dr. Danny. He's the one that brought her to this facility because he's crazy. This is actually my favorite scene in the entire show. The suspense of Danny struggling to fire the gun is so good. It stays on him long enough to make sure us, the viewers, freak out and hope he doesn't pull the trigger. I did tear up a little bit at this moment because I couldn't believe it would end like this. Now, sorry to trick you, it is a fake out death. A very, very good one, but it is a fake out. Rachel does survive the bullet wounds, and Zack gets taken to jail since he's a serial killer. I'm fine with this fake out because it was executed really well, and it's at least believable. If the author did commit to this, you could argue it's a better ending just from the shock value, but I'm still fine with the actual ending. Now, the actual ending, Zack breaks out of the jail and makes it to Rachel. The cops arrive soon after, so they have to hurry and do it. Rachel restates their promise, and as they jump out the window, Zack tells her, "If you want me to kill you, then stop crying and smile," which is something he's been pretty much telling her throughout the whole story. So in the end, the hidden option, C, was the real answer. They both die. Technically it could be option A, because it's vague enough that Zack could be alive. All we see is blood in the window. But I think they both die at the end since the cops were there, and I assume they kill Zack once he kills Rachel. He was getting the death penalty anyway, so it's likely he's dead either way. Anyway, I love this ending. The author stuck to his guns since the very beginning. The author tells us Rachel is going to die by Zack at the end. The author didn't shy away from it and make Rachel want to live at the end, and they live happily ever after. The author didn't do the lame, "Oh no, Ray, I love you, so I can't kill you," but yeah, he stuck to his guns and did it, thank God. Zack sticks to his promise, so he isn't a liar. It's weird and kind of funny that during the scene where Danny shoots Rachel, you're basically rooting for Zack to be the one to kill her and not Danny. It's like a weird, funny, sad-ish feeling to be like, you're not the one that's supposed to kill her. When at the end of the day, you're rooting for a specific person to murder a little girl, it's weird to think. And that's basically what the whole story is about, if you think about it, but I love it. Hopefully I expressed why the ending is so great in my opinion. Whenever I see anyone talk about the show, it's usually negative, which is why I feel kind of bad for liking it. It feels like I'm missing something, but I've rewatched the show 3 times, trying to find the faults in it, but each time I like it even more. Maybe I have trash taste, but whatever, I like it. Now, personally, I'd give the show a 9 out of 10. That's really high praise, but I can't deny that I watched the show multiple times and didn't like it any less each time. The only part that's a little iffy and I don't fully understand is that there's a part in the show where Rachel is on trial and it gets super philosophical and it can be really hard to follow. I still don't fully understand it, so I'll take a point off for that. Now, if I'm a critic rating this, like a critical rating, what I think most people would feel like if they watched it. It's probably a 6 or a 7 out of 10. The show hinges on you going along with the premise of a weird promise and suspending your disbelief enough that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like. As in, I think a lot of people would just think it's dumb, and if you can't go along with it, then the show falls apart. If you watch the show and don't care about Rachel and Zack's promise from episode 1, then you won't like the show at all. Which is fine. I just wanted to give the show some props since it seems like most people don't like it. Like I said, I watched it 3 times to try and figure out why I like it so much. I guess I love the ending, and the ending doesn't work without everything that the show sets up, so I guess I just like the show in general. I hope I talked about it enough to give you an idea on why I like it. I know the answer I gave probably isn't the best, but like I said before, I can't pinpoint exactly what I like.